Oh man, I love this song. Every time I hear it, it reminds me. Does this sound familiar? Music is like a scent. It can instantly transport you to another time and place. I ask my guests to dish about their songs and the memories that go with it. I'm your host, Tiffany Mason. I have a passion for music and a curiosity about how a song affects someone and why. Turn up your radio and let's explore Memories with a Beat. Hello, Podcast Land. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Memories with a Beat. And today I have Bryson with me. And Bryson, I'm super excited to jump into your song. I thought this was a reggae artist, then I thought it was a Christian artist. I hope you guys read the title, Live Like a Warrior, because this song really is like you're having that crappy day and you put this song on, or you had a crappy day and you put this song on, and all of a sudden you're ready to like slay. So, Bryson, thank you so much for joining me today and taking some time out of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to talk about this song.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about it because you are a music teacher, right?
I am. I teach pre-K through sixth grade general music just outside of Columbus, Ohio, and I wouldn't change anything for it.
Yeah, awesome. I love our education system. I love our teachers. I think they have always been underpaid and they probably always will be underpaid. But I appreciate you teaching our next generation about music, the power of music, and how to, I don't know, just like wrap your arms around it and embrace it. There we go. Embrace it. So I appreciate that. And I love your profile picture. You had a xylophone on. Was that a Halloween costume or what was going on with that?
It was definitely my peak Halloween costume at school. I don't think I will ever be able to do better than a life-size instrument.
That was awesome. Well, speaking of instruments and music, let's dive into your song. I'm going to have you say the gentleman's name because, guys, I've heard it a couple times and it's tongue twister. So take it away, Bryson. Let us know what your song is and the artist.
For sure. The song I chose is called Live Like a Warrior by Matisyahu.
Okay, yep. I wanted to read a little bit about him. So his name is really Matthew Paul Miller, also known his stage name as
Matisyahu.
He's an American reggae rapper, beatboxer, and alternative rock musician. He's known for blending spiritual themes with reggae, rock, hip hop, beatboxing sounds. And his 2005 single, King Without a Crown, was top 40 hit in the United States. So you guys on the other end may know that song, King Without a Crown. And it is cool that like this song definitely has like a reggae feel to it. But when I was looking at some titles of his other songs, I was like, okay, maybe he's a Christian artist. So I like the blend of the different styles that make up the song, and definitely uplifting tune that you can listen to when you are kind of feeling.
Yeah, this song definitely has a real big place in my heart.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. I appreciate you exposing me to it. Go ahead and dive into, is this chock full of memories, just emotion? Is it an empowerment song? How do you really relate to the song, Bryson?
This is definitely one of those songs that's always been there when I like kind of like what you said, when I had a really crappy day and I feel like nothing I do is right, and the world's trying to get me down, like it says in the lyrics, and I really use it. I love the lyrics where it says, let yesterday burn and throw it in a fire, because I've always been one to focus on all the things that have already happened to me, all the things that are already out of my control. And this has really helped me kind of say, all right, all that happened. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now that you have the information you have? How are you going to make it better for yourself?
I love that too. And every time he says, take it and throw it in the fire, I always think of like a dumpster fire. Like a lot of times when we have a bad day or something, like this day is just a dumpster fire. Yesterday was a dumpster fire. That's what it kind of makes me think of. So like just throw it in that dumpster fire and just kind of forget about it. So I love that. You said you found this in high school. Was it a situation where like you just had a bad day, or was it a situation where, like not all of us get to be the most popular kid. I mean, I certainly wasn't. I am Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, where like just two best friends. We were cool enough to talk to the A kids and B kids and C kids. We didn't really fit in with any of the groups. We were just kind of our own people. So was it kind of something like that where it just helped you cope with like the everydayness of high school? Or was it really like today just stunk and this is kind of my anthem for that song?
Well, I originally was introduced to this song at a youth group that I was at the time, but I've kind of kept it
Mm,
with me throughout the years. And I've had my fair share of mental health issues and really bad days and really bad
mm,
weeks. And I've really used this song a lot when I'm feeling kind of down in the dumps and when I'm feeling like there is just everything working against me. And I love how it's talking about, all right, you just got to let go. What are we going to do now? How are we going to focus on moving forward? And honestly, like I put this on my student teaching pump up playlist on Spotify when I was in undergrad. I still listen to it a lot of mornings now when I'm getting ready for school. And it's just something that really kind of pumps me up. And it brings me back to those, not the moments where I was really down, but the moments where I was able to pick myself up again.
yeah, I love that. I could totally see that. When I think about this song, I feel like it's like, a person is sitting there. Like, okay, first of all, I always share what I love about music is that it takes you on this journey in a short amount of time, right? So this is the reel that plays in my head, and maybe you have a reel that plays in your head. I'd love you to share it with me. I listened to it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and it's definitely going on a playlist for sure. I love this song. So down here in Florida, we tool around on our golf carts. This would be a great golf cart song, just to have like the wind going through your hair and buzzing along and having a good day, and just this song kind of makes you even enjoy a good day, if you will. So I just picture like this person that's sad, and it's raining, and then they get this idea and they start like dancing around in the rain, and all of a sudden the sun comes out and everything's great. And lots of times that's my coping mechanism and why I started the podcast, and everything about the podcast was if I'm in a bad mood, I'm like, oh, duh, just turn on some music, Tiffany. So this will definitely be one of those songs when it's a dumpster fire kind of day. This is going to be one of those songs, and I just love it. Is there any kind of movie that plays in your head when you listen to this song? Like I had shared my rain and then the sun coming out. Is there, some kind of story that goes on in your head too?
I really just see kind of an out of body experience, me and all
Mm,
the moments of my life that I've been at my lowest, and I but I see it more of me standing up and dusting myself off and moving on from it. And
mhm.
I really feel like I can be, when I'm listening to this, I can be placed back in how I was feeling during those times, and being able to see just how far I've come is really cool.
Yeah, yes. Now, this song has kind of like a reggae feel to it. Do you feel like that is something that attracts you to it? Or is it just the lyrics? Or is it even maybe just the time that you were introduced to it?
I think it definitely has a lot to do with the time in my life when I was introduced with it.
Mm,
I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of reggae.
mm,
The lyrics are wonderful, but I think this song found me exactly when I needed it.
mm,
Over the past, since high school, I've gone through a lot of understanding who I am and what my role in this world is, and I'm not going to lie and say that it's been pretty the whole time. There have been a lot of really rough times, and songs like this have been there to, again, remind me that I've already picked myself up a lot before. I've
mm,
already been through a lot of really hard things and made it to the other side. Like just the lyrics at the very beginning, feel like the world don't love you. They only want to push you away. And
mm.
that's how I felt a lot of my life sometimes in certain aspects. And it's been an unlearning experience to figure out who I am and being okay with exactly how I am a part of this world. And it's just, the song has stuck with me for so long.
Yeah, it's an easy one to get stuck in your head, and it's an easy one to go to because of how positive of a story it's telling you. So that's really awesome. Do you feel comfortable sharing any of those victories that you remember that you're like, when you are reflecting and you're like, yeah, like I didn't get the job I wanted, but I was able to move on and, throw that idea in the fire and move on to the next thing. Is there anything like that that you would feel comfortable sharing?
For sure. I'm one of the biggest moments of my life is my senior year of undergrad. I had been ignoring my mental health for a long time, and unfortunately, that led to a mental health crisis. I ended up spending a couple weeks in a hospital, and
Mm.
I wasn't able to graduate on time because of it. And it was this.
Oh.
I struggled a lot with figuring out what was my identity. If I'm not a college student, I'm not a teacher. What is this? Where am I? Like, thankfully, I was able to finish the next quarter, but it took a lot of work and a lot of understanding that while the moment that I was in at the time was incredibly terrible and it was awful, I have grown so much as a person because of it. And I truly believe that had I been able to go through and finish student teaching, that that mental health emergency wouldn't have happened then, but it would have happened at some point because I wasn't doing the work. I wasn't
Mm.
taking care of myself. I was over involved and I wasn't listening to what my body was trying to tell me. And this was one of the songs that really helped me through that process.
Mhm. Mhm. I can definitely see that. It reminds me of a book I was recently reading about entrepreneurship, and she was saying in the book that you don't always mourn a person, right? She was bringing up the fact that like there's a grieving process with a lot of different things, and so you grieved that not graduating on time, grieved having the medical event in the first place, and then also grieved that you had another semester of school. So I can appreciate all that and kind of that pondering, who I am if I'm not this or I'm not that, what is my identity? So I could see playing this song a lot of times and trying to, keep picking yourself back up. So, and it is hard. I mean, I am right there with you. I completely understand that and how you just, live to fight another day and you're like, okay, it's a brand new day. And I think it's important to, start each day with a clean slate. So I think this is a great song to kind of motivate somebody to do that. What year did you graduate high school?
I graduated high school in 2013.
2013. Okay. And were you highly involved in your church?
Not at the time. A lot when I was younger, I definitely was a little bit more involved. And
Mhm.
then once I started working, things got a little busier, and I didn't really go to youth group as much as I did anymore, or I did at the time when I was
Yeah.
introduced to the song.
Well, I think just like we pull away from our parents, I think you pull away from your faith a little bit too in those years. I think that's pretty common. Some people don't, but I think it's pretty common to do that. And, maybe you return, maybe you don't. But I think just like you kind of distance yourself from your parents, you just need that time to kind of figure out who you are, what you stand for, what you do believe in, what you don't believe in, all those kind of things. So probably pretty natural. I think a lot of people, I know I was the same way. And then just working and trying to figure out how to juggle and manage that schedule, it all makes sense.
Got a podcast? Are you loving it, but not loving how much time post production takes? Or maybe you just have other tasks calling your name a little bit louder. Virtually You can help. Check out virtuallyouva.com, supporting you in all things podcasting like editing, show notes, audiograms, and much more. See the link in the show notes. They're waiting to give you back your time. And on that note, let's get back to the show.
I also wanted to ask you, and I should have asked you previously, what you said it helped you, this song going through some of those trials and tribulations, it's really helped you to kind of figure out what your role is. What would you say your role is now?
I I've really fallen into the role of a teacher in so many different ways. I
Mhm.
right now I coach a lot of other elementary music teachers, and it's one of my favorite
Oh,
things to
cool.
be able to impact classrooms that are broader than just my own, and also be a part of just a bigger discussion of inclusive classrooms. I myself, I have ADHD and sensory processing disorder, and I am like, all right, how can we make classrooms for kids like me and kids with other disabilities to make sure that they're allowed to do that, they're really truly able to be a part of every classroom and not just kind of saying it with and or requiring teachers to do it but not giving the resources. So like I really have found myself a lot more a part of the discussion of how we can make the world a better place, because there are a lot of things that we still need to work on. We're making progress in a lot of ways, but there's still miles for us to go.
Well, I always think that there's like all these struggles that we as adults are having, with the busy, demanding schedules and social media and all that kind of stuff. And then you want to throw into it. My daughter's in sixth grade. So, this is right up my alley that you throw them into the hardest time of their life, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I don't know anybody who would go back to sixth, seventh, eighth grade. And, we expect them to navigate it perfectly on top of all the social media now and all the accessibility to each other and each other's personal information, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's great that you're, offering them music because I know that that is something that's so grounding and centering for me. And I love that you're having the conversation because I'm also a podcast editor. So a lot of podcasts, well, not a lot, but there is one lady that I edit her podcast and she has ADHD and her children have it too. And she has spoken, how it's a kind of a superpower, which I completely believe. I think that okay, they say like no child left behind in academics, but it should be no child left behind in the whole gamut, right? So I like that you guys are having that conversation. Is there any specific techniques that you want to share with us that you guys have kind of been experimenting with that has been beneficial for those students?
I mean, it really comes down to just starting the conversation a lot of the time. How
Mm-hmm.
can we empower teachers to empower our students? How can we make sure that teachers have all the information they need about the students and they don't have to go
Mm,
sourcing it down? How can we make sure that all the stakeholders of education are on the same page and have the same expectations? And it really comes down to what is best for kids and how can we make sure that we're educating them holistically rather than just thinking about, all right, can they read, can they do math, but
mhm.
thinking about how they exist in the world and how they find their place and how they're able to process their emotions, how they're able to deal with things like a global pandemic. I mean, these hopefully not another pandemic, but these types of things happen when as you grow up. And if we only focus on the testable things that we can see tangible data for, we're missing out a lot of what it truly takes to set our students up for success.
Yeah. Yep. I would 100% agree with that. So definitely good stuff. Um, okay, I want to switch back to the song a little bit and I want to go over are there specific lyrics that you sing in your head, or is there a certain part that when you turn the song on, you're in your car and you're just singing it super loud? Like is there a victory verse or anything like that for you? Or I mean, I can see how it's just the whole song too. So,
The part that really resonates with me most is towards the end. It goes, your heart is too heavy from things you carry a long time. Been up, you've been
mm,
down, tired, and you don't know why. But you're never going to go back. You only live one life. Let go, let go, let go, let go,
mhm.
let go, let go. And those let goes get me every single time because I am the king of never letting things go and holding on to everything. And I just feel like in that moment, I'm able to just let go and be like, all right, it's off. It's off of my plate. It's out in the universe. What can I do now to move forward?
Yeah. Yeah. When you get new songs, or I suppose I have to always put this in past tense, although I do pull up Apple Music now and look at the lyrics too. But when you used to get a cassette or a CD, what would you do first? Would you just listen to the music in such appreciation, or do you feel like you always needed to get that leaflet out and read those lyrics?
I'm the weirdest music teacher when it comes to this because in truth, I even growing up, even now, I rarely listen to much music. The music that I would listen to and that would have the most emotion to me is music that was kind of came into my life rather than me going out buying a new album or something like that.
Mm,
For instance, this song was introduced to me in a group setting. Songs that I sang in choir, obviously those were things that were outside of my control. And then as I've kind of grown as an adult, I've been seeking out things more towards the purpose of the song, the meaning, and the kind of the emotional connection of the song.
yeah.
Um, but it usually goes through a lot of just experiencing it first and just kind of taking it
hmm
all in.
Now, I've heard other musicians say that not in a bad way, but they pick apart a song. So they're like, okay, there's the strings. Okay, oh, that must be a flute. Oh, that must be. And then they try to like pick out all the instruments that make that one song. Do you find yourself doing that? I think that's so intriguing.
Not typically the instruments,
Okay.
but depending on the song, sometimes I'll like pick up on like hidden motifs and things like that. And those are the things, like the really high level compositional techniques that really make me appreciate it, because I'm like, ooh, I see what they're doing there. I like how they're bringing that in.
Yeah, cool. Cool. I've learned so much about music composition from this podcast that's interesting. But that's the first time that that's been brought up. So I'm gonna have to try to pay attention. I gotta be honest though, lots of times my amateur ear can't. I am so invested in the lyrics and the story. Like, what journey are we going on? Podcast land, if you have not heard this song, you know that it's going to be on the playlist for Apple Music, for Spotify, and YouTube. So if you've not heard the song, or you've not seen the video, or if you don't want to see the video, sometimes I don't want to see the video. The video I've created in my brain is already so good. I don't need a video to explain it to me. But if you guys want to hear it, it's on the playlists in the show notes. Do not forget to check them out. Bryson, is there anything else that you would like to add about this awesome song?
I just would love to add to your listeners, whatever your song is, find a song that fills the purpose in your life at that moment, because music is such a wonderful thing that can serve so many different purposes. And I'll be honest, I don't know what I would do in my life without music. So I encourage everyone to kind of make sure you're keeping your life full of music.
Yeah, I agree with that. Amen. Well, Podcast Land, I hope you have enjoyed all of Bryson's memories to this beat.
Podcast Land, thank you so much for listening. If you had a few memories of your own pop up with this episode, make sure to take a screenshot, tag me on social, Tiffany Mason or Virtually You, and share those memories. I know y'all are listening, and I'd love to hear the memories you were reminded of with this song. Also, would you do me a favor and share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it? This is the best way you can help me to grow my audience. Can't wait to dive into my next guest's memories with a beat. Hit subscribe now. You don't want to miss the next episode.